Hello, friends. My name is Brad Beard, owner and winemaker for Mercury Wine, located in downtown Geyserville, California, in the heart of the Alexander Valley, one of the most prestigious and premier wine growing regions on the planet. Today, I'm going to be talking about one of my wines. This is what we call the Dark Side. It is a 2018 Dark Side. And today, instead of going into history of grapes, where they're from, what grapes are supposed to be grown where or why and who, we're actually just going to be focusing on this wine, talking about where it's grown here locally. And then I'm going to be just giving you my thoughts on the tasting. So here we go. 2018 Dark Side. Why is it called Dark Side versus Cabernet, Chardonnay, Merlot, or whatever? Because this is a pretty deep and dark, full-bodied wine. The second of my big, bold wines that I've created. As most of you know, I started out with a lot and still do my classic Bordeaux blends, focusing on subtlety, nuances, and things like that. But there's those times when I'm having a dish or I'm feeling like I want something more enveloping. It's a cold winter evening, it's raining, and I've got the fire roaring, and I'm like, hey, I want something, to keep me warm and toasty, and I want it to be rich and full bodied. So that's why we've got this wine. The reason why it's rich and full bodied is because it is. Oh my gosh, let me see. We have got 60% Syrah in this wine. We have 20% Petite Syrah and 20% Cabernet Franc. And of course, Syrah, Petite Syrah, Rhone, Cabernet Franc, the Bordeaux. So it's not a classic blend, but it does nothing. Wines don't have to be classic blends. Sometimes you can find wines that go great together that aren't grown together in history. So here we go. You can probably see it. It's just this gorgeous. There's some ruby in there, but it is dark plum, maybe hints of magenta. Sometimes when you have a Petite Syrah, you get a beautiful magenta lip, but there's not enough Petite Syrah to give it a magenta lip. But those three dark, thick-skinned red grapes give it just a beautiful dark color. I mean, when I pour this wine in the tasting room, everybody's like, "Oh, that's why you call it the Dark Side," and they are correct. It is three big, beautiful, bold, and dark grapes that have come together to create a fantastic wine that actually does have subtlety and nuance and isn't rigid or incredibly intense all the time. It can give you some fun flavors and some interesting things. Oh, Freddie. Sorry, Fred. I'm not paying attention to you. Come here, handsome. All right. Sorry. If you say hi, if you talk, you got to say hi. Okay. Everybody knows. Here's Freddie. Do you want to try some of the Dark Side? Is that what you were upset with? You hadn't had anything. Use it two paws up. Thanks, Freddie. Don't whine too much. All right, so we looked at the color. It's dark, it's rich. There's no oxidation on the lip at all, so the lip isn't getting oxidized, which is a light orange reddish color on the lip. This is still pretty big. Mm. It it's definitely cherry, but it's not as rigid as like my Petit Verdot. It's got some luscious cherry plum things going on in there. I'm digging for other spices or vanilla from the oaking regiments or anything like that. A mixture of American and French. Just almost all of my reds are going to be a mixture, especially if it's a blend, because one might be in American and the other one might be in French. Mm. Just hints of wonderful, maybe some baking spice on the back side of the nose. Because I've been making this wine since 2013, I know where it's going. So this big intensity up front is going to age just absolutely fantastically beautiful because the wine has strong acid and good tannins built to last. Mm. Oh, those cherries and plum. And the other thing about mouthfeel, when you're talking about mouthfeel, so when we're talking about my Cabernet Franc and we're talking about Petit Verdot, those are very linear wines where they're not like bouncing back and forth across the palate. This wine, mainly because of the Syrah, I'm going to say, because Petit Syrah can be pretty linear, and same thing with Cabernet Franc, but the Syrah allows it to have this beautiful, more luscious mouthfeel, nice and intense. Nothing Too grady again. The balance that I really want out of a wine that's this powerful is I don't want my tannins to come in and add more power, and I don't want my acids to be out of balance. So they're fully in balance, good structure. Actually, I was starting to get a little bit of spice.
Mm.
Yeah, nice plum, nice black cherry running through. I am starting to get a little bit of spice on the long finish. Cabernet Franc is definitely helping out with that. Cabernet Franc allows wines to just get a real nice long finish. And not only the wines you're tasting, but then that retronasal as you start breathing and talking, and you get to enjoy all those flavors again.
Mm.
Oh, one fun little fact, how I came up with this wine was I taste all my wines once a month, usually sometimes every couple months if we're in a busy season. And for some reason, we had just lined up Syrah, Petit Syrah, Cabernet Franc in order. And as I was tasting along from the Syrah to the Petit Syrah, I thought, oh, that tastes really good. And I knew it was because that lusciousness of the Syrah was taming the Petit Syrah. And then the next wine I was tasting after my Petit Syrah was my Cabernet Franc, and I was just thinking to myself, "Oh, Cabernet Franc right after Petit Syrah, another rigid, linear wine that's very intense." But those two made a nice pairing, and then I thought to myself, "I wonder what all three would do." And so I did a little third, a third, a third, and discovered that those three wines went together fantastically, and that's why this was one of my most successful wines. Sells out almost immediately every year and allows people to have a nice, rich, full-bodied wine without the aggressive tannins or acid. So there we have it. We've got my brand new, at this moment in early January of 2021, unreleased Dark Side, probably coming out later this year. Thanks.